Sanbonani Dumelang Absheni, hello. I am Khadi M and I am your host for Talk It Out, the show that tackles unconventional topics. Welcome to our very first episode on ISN Productions, and I trust we'll have a wonderful time together tackling topics that are seemed too sensitive to be asked. It's August, Women's Month. And we're here to ask a question that people never really ask. Do these Women Month events really tackle underlying issues in our society like gender-based violence? We're here with guests Ms. Mashadi Modise and Qiniso Shabalala, and they're here to, discuss with us if these events really do tackle our underlying situations. Ms. Modise, as a representative for women, I've learned that you've spent all your time, your energy and efforts in an organization called Women in Power.
Yeah.
Briefly just explain what it is about and how it aims in helping the community at large.
All right. So Women in Power is more of a movement which we started last year. We host an event every year on the last weekend of the month of August. We host an event where we get motivational speakers and invite the community, mostly of Garangua and neighboring areas, where we get to tackle, like you mentioned, women issues and challenges that we go through as women. And I get to invite different speakers every year, and sort of like an entertainment. Also, it's there to boost the community and boost women at large. So in short, that's mostly the Women in Power event. Yeah.
Very empowering.
Thank you.
Sir Shabalala, as a respectable and responsible African man, I've learned that you two have invested all your energy, your efforts and time in an organization called Let the Young Men Live. Could you just briefly explain to us what it is about and how it helps the community at large?
Let the Young Men Live. It's an organization that aims to work at grooming young men specifically. I guess grown adults are welcome as well to maybe try and see if they still know the basics, the things that they should know. But what we aim to do is we sort of want to define for the young boys what a perfect gentleman is. Now, of course, that will be determined, of course, by how you treat the people around you, from the women, the children, and everyone else. So heading into Women's Month, our prime focus will be mostly on women's issues, tackling them from a male perspective to say, okay, we are aware now of the issues that have been brought up before. Now we are about to lend our hand in terms of trying to relieve those issues or come up with solutions to those issues.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have powerful and independent young leaders in our building, and we will together put our heads together and tackle these issues right after this. Welcome back, SMU fam, to Talk It Out, the talk show that tackles unconventional topics. We're here tackling a very sensitive issue. Are these Women Month events really helping the community at large? Gender-based violence is a norm in our country. Sadly, we live with it every day. Everyone is affected by it. Every waking day we see it in our lives, in our everyday living. And sadly, people do not really talk about it. We're here as young people to try and tackle this issue and put our heads together so we can find a solution. The month of August is commemorated and celebrated in remembrance for the march that took place in 1956, where more than 20,000 women marched to the union buildings to stand against the past laws in apartheid. It is so sad that the power and the exuberance that those women had those days has been vanished or minimized by the gender-based violence that we have in our country. Ms. Mashadi, by what I've said, how do you think that these events have, put some change in the community at large? Because I've talked about gender-based violence, and how are the events really tackling the issues?
All right. In my take, I think it's better than not doing anything at all, So with these events, women, we sort of suppress our feelings. Sometimes we get too scared to talk about the issues that we go through. So these events are sort of impactful because you get to hear people telling their stories, and it might be that you are going through certain things that relate to that particular person. So I believe we at a good step with the events, and I'm glad that they're actually happening often. Especially in the month of August, there's a lot of events that are happening where we get to tackle women issues, and I really feel that we at a good step with this, and I'm for the motion actually that let's continue doing these events. It actually sort of build the confidence as well to speak out, as well, because it really is important that we speak about these things. Speaking out is sort of like a remedy to feel better in a way. And yeah, I really feel that we had a good step with that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, one would argue that if someone does something to you,
Mm-hmm.
we don't blame you.
Yeah.
We blame the person.
Yeah.
If you're holding these events every week, every day of
Mm-hmm.
August, and you're tackling these issues, you don't really include the perpetrators
Yeah.
that actually do commit these crimes to
Mhm.
you. I admit they do help in the sense of empowering women.
True.
It's been a struggle in our country, especially that women have been undermined and have been looked over in so many cases, let's
Yeah.
say academics and business-wise, and we need those events to help us empower ourselves, as you said, but they're not really attacking the underlying issues. So, Mr. Shabalala, that's where you come in. How do you think that your organization or any organization like yours could assist the events in tackling these issues?
From my standpoint, I think we just need to change the narrative just a little bit, because I do get the importance of inspiring people to achieve whatever goals they may have. But then let us also look at how much the gender-based violence has restricted women from doing basically even the most basic of things. I can possibly walk out at night for as long as I want, whereas as a woman you might have to start to be cautious starting from a certain time, because you fear chances of being attacked, raped, and whatever, as well as in the household. If you are a woman who's maybe in some sort of relationship with a man who's abusive, if he says at 8 o'clock it's time to sleep, whether you have to study or have some work to do at home, it restricts you. Which means as much as you have those dreams, it also restricts as to how far you can go in terms of reaching your dreams. So now if we walk and start to have a talk with the gentleman who would say, let's treat women a bit better, so that we level up the playing field. Just as much as I can walk at any hour of the night, let them also be able to do the same thing, so that women who like to study or work at night at maybe places that are at a distance from where they usually stay, that they can walk freely to and from those two places where they study and at home, so that you do not have a situation where now someone who's more productive at night now has to try by all means to work during the day because of the fear of their safety later on at night. So now with these things all happening, so we need to avail ourselves during these events, and ask all men the campaign to have more men come in during these events to basically hear what the women who have actually made it have went through, and then try to then work together to ensure that no other woman has to go through that in order just to achieve something as simple as achieving your goal. Yeah, so basically that's where you should come in.
One would argue that in an African continent that we live in, it's culture that men are portrayed as these alpha males. They have to overtake the women, they have to be their leaders, their gods in a way. How would you then go to the older men, or the men that still have that stigma in their head, that believe that they have to be, but they have to be the male, the alpha male in the family, and whatever they say goes? How do you go to those older men and try to bring them down to our level, to help them understand that no, we're still human? At the end of the day, we need similar respect, the respect that we give them.
Okay, with regards to older people, I think we should have a discussion that now says, It's a new generation that has grown into adults now. Now, the rules that we have as a generation and the laws that have changed while we as a generation have been growing up have basically created the world to be different from the world that they lived in. So now with that, we have to accept that change has happened. The way things work needs to also change. Now, there's no problem with the man leading the household, but then it should be also a woman's choice whether she allows the man to lead her or not. If we come down as men to say, no, listen, it's time you need to listen to the woman. You know, their points also matter. Sometimes a woman listening to you, or you as a man going down to listen to a woman, as bad as that may sound, from their standpoint, it's not a way that you are losing any power or whatever. It's a matter of now you are trying to say, okay, what are the issues and problems that you are facing on a daily basis that may be preventing you from getting to where you need to be?
You know, when you say that, you kind of refresh my brain. I've been trying to learn chess, and I've come to understand that the queen, the chess piece of the queen, is the most powerful of them all. She moves anywhere, anyhow, and she takes whomever, however she wants. So men rather, have to realize that women are very, very powerful. A man is a man because of a woman. At the house, you're a man because of your lady, because of your woman. You dress the way you are because of her. She gives you the advice that you need and everything. So men have to really reconsider and not really come down to a level. They have to come up to a level and actually realize that we have all the power. So they need to start treating us as such.
The problem is, you know, speaking of that, you know, men find it difficult to sort of let us lead in a way, you know. It's really difficult, and I'm gonna have to say this because we're doing these events, yes, to empower ourselves, to make sure that we move on from, you know, the bad days rather, where men used to be, you know, the head of the house. But they find it very difficult because some men be like, okay, these events, you go there to talk about us, to gossip. But no, it's not all about, you know, gossiping, or we are there to empower ourselves, to stand up and say, you know, to stand up for our rights as women. Say, you know what, I'm tired of this. If something bad happens to you, say, you know what, I'm going to take charge of my life. I'm going to take charge of everything that I own, you know, myself included, you know. So it's really difficult to men actually to say, you know what, actually I'm going to treat you as equal as I am. I'm going to treat you as my equal. No, it's difficult with the older generation and the younger generations. I'm talking about ourselves, our age group. It's difficult to get to that point, and I don't know, we still have a long way to go, but we get in there. So yeah,
you know, one thing that we should remember is that not all the men have that stigma, that those mindsets, the little boys, babies that are still to be absorbent to the current affairs that are happening in our country. And I very adore your organization because it grooms those people before they've been, you know, in the current world where they can be. They can see what happens and they can be absorbent to everyday struggles, and they could have that thinking, oh, I'm a man and this is what I should do.
And speaking of that, with my event, it's mostly, well, it's a women's event, right? But I get a lot of guys wanting to come at my event. I'm like, really? But it's a women's event. Like, no, we want to be there. We want to be there. We want to hear all the issues that you guys go through. Okay, some of them, they may not be directly involved, you know, but they were like, you know what, Mashadi, I'm actually interested in that event. I want to come. Each and every day, every year, actually, I get a lot of guys wanting to come. So I actually think that it's a great idea that we get both male and female in one platform, get to debate and talk it all out. Hopefully find solutions.
Hopefully find a solution. And I think it would be very good for the both of us, for both parties to sit down and finally talk, because that's what we need. We're having all these struggles, all these
It's a misunderstanding,
and we're not talking. Yes, it is a misunderstanding. We need the men to tell us, why are you doing this? If you can't explain why, then at least try to change it, because if you can't say it, it happens as nature in a way. It's subconscious, like I've said. Try to change it and see me as an equal. As an equal.
I think again, a narrative that is wrong, that is wrongly used, is that trying to try to assign an amount of power to any of the groups. I think that's where we lose it the most, because no group is gonna be willing to submit and be the weaker power, if that makes sense. So rather we put the argument of power aside. Fine, as women are great in their many ways, but then again they also have their flaws. That is okay. I mean, part of those flaws may make you tough for you to get by in the world we live in. The world has many challenges. It affects us all. So that is welcome. As well as the man can be great in all the sense, but then also we also have our flaws. That also make it tough for us to go about our daily basis, basically pushing through life. Now, if you all came down to a point that says, hey, I struggle too because of 1, 2, 3, and then you also mentioned that, hey, you struggle too because of 1, 2, 3. Now, what can happen is that we may find that we could be the solution to each other's problems. In terms of where you are weak, we can then become your strength. It does not need to be that I should be your brother, your father, your cousin, whatever. We don't need to be related. For example, in order for you to feel safe just walking down the street, just to see, okay, there's a guy there, so I should be fine. You can be scared of criminals. That is welcome. We are all scared of criminals. As a guy too, I'm also scared of criminals. But not to say every other guy is a criminal, but then just for mere fact, you are just walking, oh, there's some guy, maybe he's also a fellow student. You should feel safe, like, okay, I'm gonna walk with him. No strings attached. Which is also something else that needs to be tackled. The fact that for you to do a favor for a girl or a gesture for a girl as a guy, then it should be reciprocated through other means, be it sexually or through the exchange of contacts, whatever. We also strongly against that. Some gestures should just be just that, just a gesture. You are being kind. You just walk there from the gate back to rest. That's it.
You said something about gestures that have to be reciprocated in favors, as you'd say. Now I'm going to sound like a sellout when I'm going to talk about this, but it's a really sensitive issue to me. We recently heard about Karabo, who was murdered by her boyfriend because, well, we don't know. We were not there, but there's allegations of this and that. He bought her things and started talking to her friends about their issues, and he lashed out, as you said. So what do you think as a woman? Should we then be told how to live, how not to live? Do you think having a boyfriend, let's say I had a sugar daddy, if I was to have a boyfriend an older boyfriend who had financial freedom, he was stable, he had a nice job, and I myself am just a student, I don't really get enough money, should I then be forced to live in a certain way, to give him sex for money because I wanted money? If I just wanted sex, if I wanted money from him, should I then give him sex for it? Or does it come with maturity? Should I just get money from you and you be fine with it, fine with giving me money, or do I have to pay you back? Do you think that's how it should be done?
Sure.
Being fair, like looking at both sides, from the man's perspective and the woman's perspective, which way do you think should be best?
I feel if you want to help a person, help them out without, trying to get something in return. But we're living in a world where now men feel that if I'm going to give you money, you're going to have to do something for me, which is, I find it very... That's why you get instances where men get to flesh their whatever that they have, their materials, just so they can attract women, So I really feel that it's not fair. It's not fair at all. So if you want to give out someone something, a certain something, if you want to help out with the fees, help out. Don't be... And you get that too. We get instances, I'm sure each and every woman have gone through that, where an older man approaches you and feel that, I can take care of you. I once had an incident where like, I can take care of you. I can give you money, I can give you this, as long as you please me. So I was a bit puzzled. No, you know what? I'm not about to do that. No, I'm not about to do that. So it's a lot. It's a lot of things that men go through, And it's also spoke about, power and everything. But I feel that there's a lot that men, I don't know, canceling, whatever it may be, but it's a lot. It really is a lot. Why do men men, Qiniso, can walk out of here, go to wherever the main road at 10 p.m., but I cannot do that. Why? It's not fair at all, you know. So it really is, I don't know, a lot intervention, and I salute them for, you know, let the young men live, because it really is difficult, like you mentioned, convincing the older generation. It really is difficult trying to get them to understand the phase that we're in right now. So I think, you know, so you need to start to help them, you know, to help them enrich their mind. So yeah, it's really not fair, to answer your question. It's not.
Another troubling aspect would be, you know, I had an incident where my cousin, she studies at another university, she told me that there was a raping case at her school right next to her dorm. So when she told her mother, the mother was like, well, why was the girl walking in the dark alone? You know, stuff like that. The why.
Yeah.
Why do I wear short skirts? Am I not allowed to wear short skirts?
Yeah.
Am I not allowed to portray myself the way I want? I want to look the certain way, and I feel I look good.
Yeah.
Am I not allowed to do that because I'm scared that the man might take it in another way? The problem is when I act in a certain way, you take it, oh, she wants me.
Yeah,
Oh, I can do whatever I please with her. Oh, she's an object. Well, I don't want to say you, but men alike treat us as objects, and that really has to change. And I don't want to seem it like I'm bombarding you or I'm blaming you, but it's some of the issues that really have to be looked into in this gender-based violence.
Same with the hashtag men are trash. I used to talk about it a lot, and people are like, no, not all men are trash. I'm like, if it affects you, if it offends you, it means that you're trash, you know? It means you're trash. So I want to say men are trash because there are men out there who are trash. If you feel that it offends you, then wear the shoe. It means that you are trash. But if you feel that, you know what, I'm a good man and I'm not trash, then own it. You know, don't go around and say, no, I'm not trash, accept me, you know? But yeah, it really is, something that you need to look at.
Hey, thing is, these issues tend to be quite deep,
Yeah.
Like, for example, the issues of dressing. I think now we live in a world where basically a person can wear whatever they want. I think now what just needs to be said is that now you cannot turn off a man's natural, can I say it is an ability, not an ability? Natural urge to be attracted to an attractive woman. That is totally fine. That should be welcome. You're gonna dress a certain way. Yes, there'll be men who are gonna be attracted to you. Now, on the men's side, if having been attracted to you, okay, they can make from how can I say, from an honest and good intention point of view, they can make their approach, of course, if they like you that much. And that should be fine. But for those who are not at that level,
but it doesn't have to be aggressive.
Yes.
No, I'm just saying sometimes it's also okay to just find a girl attractive and not do anything.
Yeah.
It should just end there. Oh, she's look nice. Or she looks sexy. Done.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be now met with, oh, me, I'm trying to grab the butts. I'm trying to hold your figure. I'm trying. No, any of that. It shouldn't be. And then before you even get to touch on basic things like mannerisms, which is something that I think is almost non-existent. It's hard now. It has come to a point where now, not that it should be expected, but it's a nice gesture to open the door for a girl. It shouldn't be an act of, it's part of my game as a guy. That, oh, man, I just opened the door for you, I pull up the chair for you. It shouldn't be part of game. These are things you're supposed to just know how to do for each other. It's part of being nice, you know. Now, the pulling off the chair, it may not be understood, but then you must also remember how ladies' dresses are made. Some are really difficult for you to just move on, to be pulling a chair and whatever. So with that gesture was born of, before back in, you had to adjust your dress to sit down. So that's where the whole practice was born.
So it was helping the lady to sit down.
Exactly. It wasn't like you're just doing it because, you know, she can't pull her own chair. She can, but then due to how people used to dress back in the day, it was difficult because the dress, you know, they just open up. So you'd have to, and then you sit down. So I feel like it was a nice gesture. It's part of just being nice, you know. But if you're a girl and you also want to open the door for a guy, it's also fine. Accept that gesture as well, that, hey, you know, she opened the door for me. None of these things should be taken as like it's part of game. You know, once I open the door for you, hey, you know, I'm the guy.
Or it's
you know,
to a specific gender.
Yeah,
anyone can do it.
Yes, it should just be something that you just do because you're a nice person.
Okay.
simple, just like that.
Okay. Well, guys, we're having a very heated topic here, and we're going to be back with our final thoughts to round everything up after this. Well, thank you very much for joining us on Talk It Out, talk show that tackles unconventional topics. And this topic is very broad. We still need to come back and get other guests to put our minds together rather, and tackle this situation. And hopefully I will see you again next week. Goodbye.